Hello friends, welcome to Insights ICANN initiative. In today's video, we are going to discuss about speculations regarding Italy withdrawing from the Belt and Road Initiative. You know that speculation came in the recent G20 summit. First, let us see the syllabus mapping. Then we will discuss about the video components. Okay, first we'll see the syllabus mapping. It is related to General Studies Paper 2, IR, International Relations. In that, regional and international organizations. It is related to. Then the video components, we are going to discuss about Belt and Road Initiative and what are the risks from the Belt and Road Initiative and what kind of financial as well as the strategic risks are facing by various nations due to the BRI and India, why India is opposing BRI and why India is saying that BRI is violating the international norms. We will discuss. Then we will discuss about in opposition to BRI, recently the Western countries along with USA, they proposed one global partnership, infrastructure initiative, PGII, partnership for global infra and initiative. We will discuss about that. So these are going to be the video components. Now first let us see Italy map, as usually map pointing. So Italy is giving hints that they may leave the BRI very soon. First you have to understand BRI. BRI is full form is Belt and Road Initiative. It is an infrastructure project initiated by China. It included both land component as well as the water component. The two components have different names. I will tell you what are those names. First, try to understand Italy. Okay, so Italy is the only G7 nation so far subscribed to BRI, and Italy majorly shares maritime boundary. And you know that very popular philosopher Machiavelli originated from Italy. Okay, so apart from this, Italy is very popular for even the shipbuilding industry also. Now we will see why Italy want to leave the BRI. What are the reasons behind that? Well, whether the expectations reached or not. Why Italy felt that whatever the benefit they supposed to get from BRI, why they did not get. What kind of benefits they expected. All these things we will discuss. Now BRI, like I said earlier, BRI is an initiative of China. It is having the land component and water component. The land component of the BRI, popularly known as Silk Route. Why we are calling it as a Silk Route? Because previously, in ancient days, China used to export silk through these routes. That is the reason we are calling this as a Silk Route. In yesterday's video, we discussed that. In the ancient days, India used to export spices to Europe. We want to revive that in the form of the India IMEC. Okay, India, Middle East, Europe economic corridor. We want to reinvent this route. We want to revive. That is about India's revival of spice route, whereas this is the China's revival of the Silk Route. The water portion of this route, popularly known as Maritime Silk Route. Okay, this is through oceans. Now we discuss about both these components. India is mainly opposing the land part, that is the Silk Road, because the Silk Road is going through the Pakistan occupied Kashmir, POK, and India is claiming that there is a violation of international order. We will discuss further. First, why it is in news. Like I said earlier, it is in news because Italy announced that they are planning to leave China's Belt and Road Initiative. Okay. Next, we will discuss Belt and Road Initiative. This Belt and Road Initiative is what type of project? It is an infrastructure project. Tell me students, in the index of industrial production, okay, as we are discussing about infrastructure, tell me, in the index of industrial production, how many industries are identified as core industries? Okay, give your answer in the comments. It is an infrastructure project which include roads, rails, ports and other infrastructure building. And these infra projects are going to connect China with Asia, Europe and Africa. This Belt and Road Initiative, also known as One Belt, One Road. And it is having the two components, land component, water component. Land component popularly known as Silk Road Economic Belt. And the water component or ocean component or maritime component, it is known as Maritime Silk Road. The land component mainly connecting China with the Central Asia, Europe and the West Asia. This is the land component, Silk Road. Whereas the maritime component is connecting the China with countries such as Southeast Asia, which are like, Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, and the South Asia, like Sri Lanka, Maldives, and the Africa. Okay, till Africa it is extending, and in Africa, a country called Djibouti, where China is having their military base also. For the first time, China was having military base out of its country, that was Djibouti. It was present near the Horn of Africa. If you know, tell me students, what are the countries present in Horn of Africa? What are the four nations present in Horn of Africa? So these are the two elements present in the China's Belt and Road Initiative. Let's see in which year it was launched. This was launched in 2013. Do you remember? The National Food Security Act also launched in 2013. And the project, how much funding China is offering through this project? Around China is nearly 1 trillion money, that much amount of the money they are spending for connecting China with other parts of the world. And this project is covering almost all 65% of the global population and 60% of the world GDP, and almost all across 70 countries this project is there. Next, why it is being criticized? You know, the major criticism on this project is China is not giving money to the country in the form of grants. China is giving money in the form of loans, soft loans. That means a loan with very less rate of interest as a part of this project. And those loans also included conditions such as any country, if they take loan as a part of this project, they have to employ Chinese contractors only. Okay, and this debt is going to be a burden to these countries. Over the period of time, it is becoming a debt trap. To overcome the debt trap, sometimes countries are losing their land also. Best example, Tajikistan. Even countries are leasing out their critical infrastructure. Best example, Sri Lanka leased out Hambantota, port, because it was unable to clear the debts. So these are main criticism on the Belt and Road Initiative. Let's see more details. BRI project. It is the low interest loans. They are not the grants. Grant means you need not to, repay. You know that in India, union government give grants to states under Article 275. Okay, that is about the grant. This is about the loan. And the BRI investment, they are non-transparent in nature. They are also mandating that the involvement of the Chinese companies. When Chinese companies must be there means obviously they will give employment to Chinese only. That means even though the project is happening in the other countries, the countries people, they are not getting employment in these projects. That is the reason, guys, recently Pakistan people who are living in the Balochistan area, they were protesting against the China-Pakistan economic corridor because they are not getting employment there. Only Chinese are getting the employment. And the contractors are inflating the project cost. Because of that, countries are pushing into the debts. And due to that, countries like Sri Lanka, like I said earlier, Hambantota port, it leased to Chinese for 99 years. And this Belt and Road Initiative, whichever the countries are involved, they face a lot of loan repayment risks. It is also reflecting in the country's revenue. The countries whichever involved in the Belt and Road Initiative, the tax revenues are decreasing because they are spending a lot of money in the repayment of loans. Then, after the country is in debt trap, China is using the debt diplomacy. Okay, in return to debt, they are demanding the the surrendering of strategic land or else critical infrastructure. Best example, Tajikistan. To repay their debt, they given some of their disputed territory to China. So in this way, they are extracting very strategic concession from those countries. So this is the main apprehension. And some of the experts, they are calling this as a modern day economic imperialism. By using economy, you are trying to attack other countries. Okay, economic imperialism China is using, especially over smaller and poorer nations which don't have any access to the credit. So China's global commercial presence, it is converting into strategic presence, then strategic presence converting into military presence. So this is the apprehension in so many nations about China. Now let us see why Italy want to leave. Before that, let us see some of the countries which are facing problems due to BRI. Best example, Sri Lanka, unable to pay the debt and they given Hambantota port on lease. Djibouti, struggle to repay Chinese loans. Pakistan, debt to China, it is growing and growing on day by day basis. Laos, you know that it is present in East Africa, just above the Vietnam. The project also criticized that this is having lot of, lot of expenditure rather than the estimated one. The project has been criticized for its high cost in Laos. These are some of the just an examples. Now, BRI in India. Is India supporting the BRI? No, India is opposing the BRI because the BRI is not respecting the sovereignty of India. Why? Some part of the Kashmir being occupied by the Pakistan. We calling it as a POK, Pak occupied Kashmir. Through that, actually, China is building their project, China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. This China-Pakistan Economic Corridor is connecting the Xinjiang part of the China with the Arabian Sea. Okay, very, very important. This China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. And one more thing you have to remember, students, this China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, okay, it is also opposing by the Pakistan people who are living in the Balochistan area. Okay. So even India did not attend the BRI meeting also. First meeting India did not attend. Second meeting India sent its representatives. India is having concern that China is not, following the international laws. When China is demanding that India should respect the one China policy, that means Hong Kong, Taiwan as a part of China, and reciprocally China should also honor the one India policy. So it should not deal POK independent of India. It should have take India into confidence. That is what India is demanding that. Then why Italy wanted to leave BRI? Actually, Italy joined in the BRI when they were desperate about the investment. Because Italy experienced 3 times, recession in last 10 years. So when they were expecting lot of investment, when they required lot of financial help, then they went towards the China. But they did not. And one more thing is, when they joined with the China, at that time they were not having good relation with EU also. That is also very important. So without any option, they went to China. And the interesting thing is, next G7 summit is going to be in Italy. In this context, Italy giving indirect hints of leaving G7 is going to, leaving BRI is going to be a big blow to China. So what are the expectations Italy was having and why we think they failed? If you see, this agreement was made in 2019. Chinese FDI in Italy, rather than increased, they were been dropped. If you see, in 2019, Chinese FDI $650 million, whereas by 2021, it reduced to $33 billion. Of course, COVID impact was also there. Then, this in the country, China invested more in non-BRI countries compared to the Italy. And even exports are to trade, if you see, Italy export to China only $18.5 billion, whereas China export to Italy increased from $33.5 billion to $50.9 billion. That means after joining BRI, there was not much significant FDI inflow, as well as rather than trade surplus, trade deficit of Italy was grown with China. So it did not get the expectations filled. That means obviously the people over there have a lot of resistance or pressure on government to take some action. So challenging geopolitics. Like I said earlier, so Italy withdraw from BRI as the BRI is celebrating the 10th anniversary. It is a major big blow. And one more thing. So when Italy leaving the BRI is a sign that Europe is going away or Europe is more cautious with China. Because when Donald Trump was there, even though USA and China was having diplomatic tensions at that time, still Europe was maintaining good relation with China at that time. But now, as a Russia-Ukraine wars were going on, China more supported Russia. So that entire Europe became very cautious about the China. And even the EU-China comprehensive agreement on investment, it was collapsed. And China also started one more project, that is about 17+1. It is a project about China reaching to Central and Eastern European countries. From this project, Estonia, Latvia, all these countries left from this particular project. And now, as Italy is having the G7 meeting, next meeting is going to be in Italy, leaving from BRI is a major blowback. And one more thing, opposite to BRI, now the European countries and America, they are launched one more project That is about the partnership for global infrastructure investment, PGII. If you see some of the differences between the BRI and PGII, you can understand. This PGII is a US initiative. As a part of PGII only are India's Middle East Europe Economic Corridor, IMEEC was there in a study video I told you. This PGII initiated by G7 nations in 2022. It is having investment target of how much? $600 billion. It is seen as an alternative to China's BRI and to give funding to countries which require the critical infrastructure. Now we'll see some basic differences between the PGII and BRI. Funding regarding the PGII, public and private funding both. BRI, only Chinese government funding. Focus here, environmental sustainability and good governance is the focus. BRI, economic growth is the focus. Criticism and PGII, lack of transparency and accountability, it is missing out. Whereas from BRI, environmental damage and corruption, these are some of the criticism on the BRI. Okay, so this is the basic information regarding why Italy wanted out of the BRI. Now yesterday's video question, which of the following are correct about the G7? See, it is a group of countries consisting of China. No. The European Union is also represented in G7. Right. Second statement is right in the G7. Next. Today's question. Today's video question is about the central belt of the Silk Road Economic Belt project consists of. Central belt of the Silk Road Economic Belt consists of what? Which nations? Mains question. The China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, it viewed as a cardinal subset of China's One Belt, One Road initiative as a part of this project. Give a brief description of CEC and why India is opposing this project from the beginning. This is the mains question. Now, as we reach to the end of this video, let us revise quickly. In this video, we discussed about what is BRI, what are the two components present in BRI, why countries are opposing the BRI, and why China and this Italy want to leave the BRI, and opposite to BRI, PGII, what are the main differences between the BRI and PGII we have seen, and why India is opposing the BRI also we discussed. This is the detailed analysis regarding the Italy's inclination of leaving out of BRI.